take a while. And this is how you come down.
All right, here we are. What's going on, world? What is going on, world? It is Saturday, November 29th. Woke up alive again, cloudy, dreary, wet, damp, bone-piercing, damp cold out there. And, yeah, yesterday was a rough day. It's a rough day today, too. But I first have to thank everyone out there who shared a prayer for Sarah, sent out a good energy for Sarah. I believe it worked. I actually believe that every single time we are requested for a prayer through this crowd, it works. We've had way too many people email in and say thank you so much. I mean, we're talking some extreme cases too of people in the hospital with cancer, etc., and not looking good. And then all of a sudden there's like 10 or 20,000 people from here throwing down some prayer. It works. I know, I'm living proof it works from when I nearly died. But anyway, getting off track. Yeah, I'll talk about this just for a minute, all right? Because this topic that I'm going to share right now it will affect literally thousands of you. Well, every single one of us eventually, but we'll talk about the pet thing right now. You know, it's different. I don't know. I don't have too much to compare with, but when I had to put my horse down, I felt absolutely ripped off. We did not get I don't think we had our full life with each other, which we were destined to have, we're slated to have. And then I had to make the decision. And then top it off, he wasn't living in the same place I was with me at the time. That made it hard on me. And then to top it off, well, I just could not see him getting dragged by a frickin' backhoe and tossed in the hole. I didn't want that to be my last moments with him, you know? So I said goodbye to him and everything's good. And then I had an odd moment when he passed. Anyway, like Sarah had to make that choice, right? And she got to have that extended lifelong relationship with her little dog. You know, he lived to be what I think in our years, he's 99 or something. He lived well beyond the typical lifespan of a French bulldog. And he survived quite a bit. I thought there's no way that dog's dying anyway. You know, he got shook like a parrot. He got shook like a rat by Ruby when they were figuring stuff out when she was getting a little bigger. I thought that was over. Survived it. Stomped by the horse. French bulldogs are like cartel leaders. They all think they're tough as shit, right? They all think they're invincible until they go one-on-one, and then they get their asses handed to them, right? Typical any bullies, right? And French bulldogs, they think they're invincible. I think it wasn't too long after he got shook by Ruby. Then he went outside and chased after my gelding, and he went to go stomp him, and luckily just raked his rib cage, and he took off yelping his guts out. We thought that was it. Oh yeah, and then another time in the riding ring here, we were in there, and I had my mare, and he had his one eyeball left now, one eye, and he goes doot 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 doot. His left eye was missing, right eye was missing, and I got my mare coming around through the riding pen this way. And he goes straight in, couldn't stop him. Smack dab right in front of her and got booted. Off he goes, screaming his guts out, took off into the bushes. I'm like, oh, he's dead. Nope, still alive. He had a huge cancerous ball in his ass about 3 years ago. Big one, bigger than a golf ball. Got cut out. He survived. Crazy. But anyway, I'm babbling. Yeah, it was tough for me. I'm a wimp sometimes, and then I'd be like, do you need me in here? So I'll take you through how it goes down in case you are in that position. Let me restart this. I'm going to take you through it because I know this is going to affect thousands of you listening, okay? It's not going to be bad. Now listen. What happens is this woman came over, and she was in the house when I came back in from the shop. Sarah had her dog on her lap, wrapped in his blanket, and she's kind. She kind of creeped me out at first, only because I know that this is what she does for a living. I don't know. She seemed harmless and kind, and this hang out, pet the dog, and talked, and then they give him a sedate him, put him into a nice, deep, comfortable sleep in Sarah's lap. They took a little paw print of him. And then she got a little ink pad out and made little paw prints and nose prints on some white little cardboard cards. And then here I am thinking, oh my God, I got to go to the shop for a minute. I'd go to the shop, and then I set out a big, loud, tear-jerking prayer in the shop to ask for this to go smooth and take care of little Griffin on his passage through, and to help ease the pain for Sarah. You know, it's just so hard to see her falling apart, heartbroken. And then the next night, I'm like, get back in there, you dumbass. I went back in the house again, and then he is, after he's asleep, they administer another injection, and then he passes on. That's how it goes down. It's not, nobody's screaming and wailing and crying and carrying on. So, and then afterwards, Sarah even said, she said, she goes, well, I'm a lot more calm than I thought I was going to be. And the second she said that, I go, I know it is, because I asked for prayers yesterday for you to go through this with as less pain as possible. And who knows how many people sent a prayer her way, and I believe it worked. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for answering that call. And she's in the house now. She's having, it's going to be tough on her. I mean, that was her best friend, little buddy, went wherever she went for the past 11, 12, whatever it is, years. And she loved him dearly, right? Loved the living shit out of that little stinky old fart. So anyway, there you go. I believe your prayers made a difference. And so I thank you for that, all right? And I shared that with you also, that you know if or when that time comes for you, it's not a fall to pieces, fall on the ground, screaming, crying moment. It's not. And you do realize at that moment that they are just passing on to that next place that we are not fully taught about. Some are, some aren't. But there is more after this. I assure you there is. A lot of people don't think there is. It's kind of crazy thought, isn't it? From what we know now, especially this crew of people here and what we share. Something else is going on around us. Without a doubt. Beside us, around us, above us, whatever you want to call it. Something else is going on. Now, moving along. All right, let's get into it. I got an email here. It looks like a long one. Good time to start a long one. Dear Steve, I don't know the person who originally shared this story, but it's been shared on YouTube a few times in various channels. Allegedly, it is true. It sounds true to me. There's names, positions, times, dates, the whole 9 yards for the How to Hunt family of sleuths to look into. All right, here we go. On October 23rd, 2024, something extraordinary happened in the North Cascades of Washington State. What began as a routine training flight became one of the most compelling documented encounters with an unknown species in modern history. It's a documented encounter. David Chen, a medical evacuation helicopter pilot with 9 years of experience and over 2,000 missions under his belt, witnessed something that, according to mainstream science, shouldn't exist. When was this again? Last year? Sorry, I lost my spot. His helicopter-mounted cameras captured clear footage of a massive bipedal creature carrying what was later confirmed to be the body of a missing hiker. Clear footage. Chen was ordered not to discuss the incident publicly. Looks like it got leaked. The footage remains in restricted evidence files, but the truth of what happened that day has finally emerged. This is the account of that morning, verified by multiple witnesses, documented by camera systems, and investigated by law enforcement. This is what really happened. October 23rd, 2024, started as a standard training flight. Chen and his co-pilot, Sarah Mitchell, lifted off from Everett Regional Medical Center just before 7 a.m. under the perfect conditions, clear skies and light winds, ideal for practicing mountain approach patterns. The helicopter followed their standard route along the Mountain Loop Highway, maintaining an altitude of approximately 400 feet above the forest canopy. This was familiar territory for Chen, who had flown over the North Cascades hundreds of times during his career. And at precisely 7:32 a.m., a time later verified through flight logs, Mitchell called out an anomaly on their thermal imaging display. David, look at this heat signature. That's huge. The thermal scan revealed something large moving through the forest 350 feet below. The heat pattern was consistent with a mammal, but the size appeared abnormally large for any known species in the region. Chen initially dismissed as a black bear, but something about the signature troubled him. He reduced airspeed and adjusted altitude for visual confirmation, and what he saw through the windscreen would change everything. Through a gap in the forest canopy, approximately 30 feet across, Chen had completely unobstructed view of a heat source. A massive figure was moving upright on two legs, striding purposely through the dense undergrowth. Each step covered an estimated 7-8 feet from 350 feet up. Chen could clearly see the creature stood at least 8 feet tall, possibly more. Its entire body was covered in dark brown hair that moved naturally as it walked. But what immediately captured Chen's attention was that the creature was carrying, draped over its left shoulder, was an object wrapped in blue material, later identified as a sleeping bag. The shape was unmistakably human size, approximately 6 feet long. Hiking boots were visible, dangling from one end, swaying with the creature's movement. Mitchell immediately began recording with both camera systems, the helicopter's forward-mounted camera and her handheld documentation unit. The creature moved into a small clearing, providing approximately 5 seconds of completely unobstructed footage. The video captured massive shoulders, arms hanging past where human knees would be, and a head that appeared to sit directly on the shoulders with minimal visible neck. The overall body structure was distinctly primate, but the proportions matched no known species. Then the creature looked up. This moment, captured clearly on both camera systems, showed the creature tilting its head back and staring directly at the helicopter. The behavior indicated non-startled reaction, typical of wildlife, but calculated assessment. The creature understood what a helicopter was and what the pilot's presence signified. After adjusting its grip on the wrapped body and shifting its weight, the creature continued moving. Now it increased speed toward the ravine cutting through the forest. Chen immediately contacted base. Quote, "Base, this is Med Flight 6. We have visual on an unknown subject carrying what appears to be human remains. I'm requesting immediate coordination with search and rescue and local law enforcement. We're going to track this subject." After a pause, base requested confirmation of the unusual report. Quote, "Base, I need Detective James Morrison with the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office on this channel. Tell him we may have found Marcus Brennan." Marcus Brennan was a 34-year-old software engineer who had vanished 3 weeks earlier while hiking the Boulder River Trail. Despite extensive search operations, no trace of him had been found until this moment. For the next 20 minutes, Chen and Mitchell tracked the creature through some of the most challenging terrain in the Cascade Range. The creature's movement revealed purposeful navigation toward a specific destination. Rather than avoiding obstacles, it took the most direct route possible, regardless of the difficulty. When the creature reached a nearly vertical ravine, Chen expected it to search for an alternate path. Instead, it descended directly down the cliff face, a feat that would require technical climbing equipment for a human. The creature navigated the descent using its long arms to grab vegetation and rock outcroppings, maintaining perfect balance despite carrying approximately 150 pounds of dead weight. Mitchell's quiet observation was captured on audio recording. It's not even slowing down. At the bottom of the ravine, the creature crossed a whitewater creek in 3 massive strides, water exploding around its legs. On the far bank, it stopped. Once again, it looked up at the helicopter. This time, the creature raised one hand in what appeared to be an acknowledging gesture, not threatening, but clearly communicating awareness of the pilot's presence. The creature then continued into the forest, so dense that even thermal imaging struggled to maintain contact. The triple canopy, old-growth forest, layers of Douglas fir, hemlock, cedar, created a ceiling that blocked most aerial observation. Chen contacted base again, requesting status on ground units. Med Flight 6 search and rescue is mobilizing, but they're looking at minimum 2 hours to reach your coordinates. The terrain is extremely difficult. Fuel status indicated only 40 minutes of remaining flight time. And after 10 minutes of unsuccessful search patterns attempting to reacquire the thermal contact, Mitchell spotted something approximately 1 mile north of the last confirmed sighting. A limestone cliff face featured a large opening approximately 40 feet wide and 20 feet high, large enough, as Chen would later describe it, to drive a truck through. In the clearing, directly in front of the cave entrance, lay the wrapped body. The creature had placed its burden on the ground near the cave mouth. From their altitude, both pilots could clearly identify a blue sleeping bag with yellow accents, matching exactly the description of Marcus Brennan's missing persons report. As Chen circled the clearing, searching for the creature, both pilots noticed something remarkable about the body's placement. It lay within a ring of smooth river rocks arranged in a perfect circle, approximately 8 feet in diameter. Those are placed deliberately, Mitchell observed. That looks like a grave marker. Movement at the cave entrance drew their attention. The creature emerged from the darkness, providing Chen with his first clear view of its facial features. The structure was distinctly primate. Heavy brow ridge, broad, flat nose, wide mouth, but the proportions fell somewhere between human and ape morphology. The creature was carrying more stones. Large rocks estimated at 40 to 50 pounds each, held easily in its massive hands. For the next 18 minutes, both camera systems documented extraordinary behavior. 18 minutes. How long did they say they had left to fly again? I'm not going back. I'll lose my spot. The creature repeatedly entered the cave and returned with additional stones, carefully placing them around Brennan's body. The precision was remarkable. Each stone positioned deliberately, expanding the circle outward in a clearly intentional pattern. Mitchell's whispered assessment, captured on audio, reflected what both pilots were witnessing. This is burial behavior. It's creating a memorial. The creature worked methodically, almost reverently, and at one point it paused and looked up at the helicopter for approximately 30 seconds, as if wanting the observers to understand its actions. Chen's radio transmission to base reflected the profound nature of what they were documenting. Base? This is Med Flight 6. We have confirmed visual on Marcus Brennan's body. What? How would they know that? His name of the body. The subject that transported him here is engaging in behavior that suggests I don't even know how to describe this. is creating what appears to be your burial site using an arranged stones. This isn't animal behavior. Fuel constraints forced Chen and Mitchell to return to base. The flight back to Everett was notably quiet, both pilots processing what they'd witnessed. Detective James Morrison was awaiting when they landed, accompanied by the base commander and 2 representatives from the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. The radio transmissions have been sufficient to generate both interest and skepticism. Chen provided a complete account of their observations. Morrison documented everything, maintaining professional neutrality throughout. When Chen finished, the detective turned to Mitchell for confirmation. Officer Mitchell, you confirm Pilot Chen's observations, every detail, and we have continuous footage from 2 camera angles. The video evidence was reviewed on the operations room's main screen, and as the footage played, observers' expressions shifted from skepticism to confusion, then to something approaching awe and possibly fear. Dr. Richard Valdez, one of the Fish and Wildlife representatives, stood abruptly when the footage reached the section showing the creature placing stones around Brennan's body. Stop. Go back 30 seconds. Mitchell replayed the section showing the creature looking directly at the camera while holding a large rock. Freeze there. Dr. Valdez approached the screen closely. Look at the facial structure, the cranial proportions. If this is someone in a costume, it's the most sophisticated one I've ever encountered. The biomechanics are wrong for human movement patterns. Morrison posed a critical question carefully. Dr. Valdez, are you saying this is real? Valdez's response was measured. I'm saying the locomotion, the way it manipulates those stones, the body structure, that's not consistent with human movement, even with prosthetics. And look at this. When it carries that body, watch how it shifts weight to compensate for terrain changes. That's problem-solving intelligence, not instinct. The following hour was spent analyzing the footage frame by frame. Dr. Valdez identified numerous details that had escaped initial observation. The gait pattern was distinctly non-human. The knee flexion angles were inconsistent with bipedal human movement, but matched predictions for a much larger primate species. Matched predictions? The stone arrangement demonstrated geometric precision, nearly perfect spacing and circular symmetry. This suggested not merely intelligence, but cultural knowledge and ritualistic behavior. After extensive analysis, Morrison made his decision. We need to recover Marcus Brennan's body. How do they know it's Marcus Brennan? Did I miss something? His family deserves closure. Pilot Chen, you can guide a ground team. Can you guide a ground team to those coordinates? Chen acknowledged the request, but noted the challenges. Yes, sir, but the terrain is extremely difficult. And if that creature is still in the area, I understand the risks. We're launching a full-scale search and rescue operation at first light. Armed wildlife officers, but strictly defensive protocols. As the briefing concluded and personnel began coordinating logistics, Mitchell expressed concern to Chen about the inevitable leaking of the footage. Chen's response reflected his own processing of the event. That creature showed intelligence. Excuse me. It chose to let us watch. Maybe it wanted us to see what it was doing. The following morning, a 12-person team entered the mountains. Search and rescue personnel, wildlife officers, Detective Morrison, and Chen serving as guide. The 3-hour hike traversed brutal terrain, multiple creek crossings, steep slopes, and sections requiring rope assistance. Throughout the journey, Chen repeatedly scanned the surrounding forest, anticipating visual contact with the massive creature. However, the woods remained unusually quiet. The team reached the clearing at 9:17 a.m. The stone circle remained exactly as documented in the aerial footage, but Marcus Brennan's body was gone. Morrison ordered a systematic search pattern, instructing team members to maintain visual contact with partners. Standing in the center of the stone circle, Chen noted that every stone remained perfectly in place. The creature had removed the body without disturbing its careful arrangement. One search and rescue team member called out from the cave entrance, quote, "The team discovered massive footprints in soft soil at the cave mouth, leading into the darkness beyond. Morrison made the decision to investigate. We're going in 4-person teams, stay alert. The passage was enormous, easily 8 feet high. Flashlights revealed smooth limestone walls and clear tracks and sandy floor leading deeper into the mountain. And after approximately 200 feet, the passage opened into a large chamber. What the team discovered fundamentally challenged their understanding of what they were dealing with. This was not an animal den. This is a dwelling. Along one wall, flat stones arranged as shelving units, holding woven baskets. The weaving was crude but functional. Evidence of deliberate craftsmanship and technique. And in the center, a fire pit ringed with stones showing signs of recent use. At the back of the chamber, Marcus Brennan's body laid out on cedar boughs. The sleeping bag had been removed. His arms were positioned across his chest. His damaged hiking gear straightened. The arrangement demonstrated obvious care and respect. Dr. Valdez's examination revealed critical information, extensive trauma consistent with a major fall, multiple fractures based on decomposition. He died about 3 weeks ago. He must have been humming. Probably hours after we went missing. Morrison stated the obvious conclusion quietly. So the creature didn't kill him. No, Valdez confirmed. I found him already dead and brought him here. Protected him from scavengers. What? I found him already dead and brought him here. Protected him from scavengers. Or maybe it meant it. I think it might have been a typo. It found him already dead and brought him here. Protected him from scavengers. These cedar boughs have antimicrobial properties. It was attempting preservation. Additional evidence throughout the chamber included stone and bone tools showing sophisticated manufacturing techniques, organized food storage systems, crude symbols scratched into the limestone walls. The chamber represented the home of an intelligent being who had lived in isolation for years, possibly decades. Someone with technology, culture, and moral framework that included respect for the dead. Heavy footsteps from a passage at the far end of the chamber interrupted their investigation. Morrison issued a quiet command, nobody move. The creature emerged at the edge of the flashlight beams, 8.5 feet tall, its shoulders filling the passage width. Close examination confirmed it was even more massive than Chen had estimated from aerial observation. The team stood frozen at the creature, as the creature and humans regarded each other across the chamber. This being had maintained complete isolation from human contact throughout its existence. How'd you know that? The team had now discovered a sanctuary. The creature looked at Marcus Brennan's body, then at the humans. What happened next was documented by multiple witnesses and would be referenced repeatedly in classified reports. The creature placed one massive hand over its heart and bowed its head, a gesture of grief and respect, unmistakably human in its meaning and intent. Then it turned and disappeared back into the deeper passages of the cave system. Marcus Brennan's body was recovered and returned to his family. The official report listed cause of death as accidental fall during solo hiking. Body discovered through aerial surveillance. No mention was made of how he had been protected and honored by an unknown species for 3 weeks. The cave location was immediately classified. The helicopter footage remains in restricted evidence files. Dr. Valdez's comprehensive report on the chamber contents was sealed at his own recommendation. In a conversation with Chen after the expedition, Valdez explained his reasoning, quote, "Some discoveries would do more harm than good if made public. That creature showed intelligence, culture, and compassion. The best way to honor that is to protect its privacy." Chen continues to fly medical evacuation missions over the North Cascades. And according to his later statements, he often wonders whether the creature remains in the area, maintaining its solitary existence in the deep wilderness. The documented evidence is clear and unambiguous. Multiple camera systems captured footage of a large bipedal creature demonstrating problem-solving intelligence, cultural behavior, and moral reasoning. The creature chose to honor a deceased human through burial ritual. It showed grief. The implications challenged fundamental assumptions about intelligence, consciousness, and what species share the mountains of the Pacific Northwest. Marcus Brennan's family was never told the complete truth of how their son was cared for after his death, but the evidence exists, carefully preserved in classified files. This is what happened on October 23rd, 2024. The footage is real. The witnesses are credible. The creature demonstrated compassion. Perhaps humans are not the only beings in these mountains capable of respect for the dead. There you go. That's it. That's the end. I don't know, man. My guts. I don't know why. I don't know. My gut's screaming fiction. It's just, I don't know. What do you guys think? There's all the sleuths, go at it. You got the names. I don't have time right now. Not that I ever do the sleuth thing myself. I'm the messenger, but you got some sleuths out there. That's a lot of people. And some people with titles who have contact with a lot of people. And it's in Washington State, right over here, hop, skip, and a jump. So, excuse me. The fact we haven't heard 1 ounce of that story ever before, it's a little odd. The family never ever found out about the truth about their deceased relative. Well, now there's like word for word conversations between the pilot and the co-pilot, etc. Available for the world. Right down to intimate details. How'd they know it was him from the air? Did I miss something there? Boots hanging out of a blue sleeping bag. Oh, it's Michael Brennan. I don't know, man. I don't know. Appreciate the email. So does anybody know any of these people? Has anybody heard the story? Has anybody know of the doctor/pilot? The detective? The dude that was found dead? His family? Well, I guess we're going to find out. Throw down in the comment section below or email me, all right? And especially if you are one of the people involved in this story. I don't know, man. My gut's screaming. Whatever, doesn't matter what I think. My gut's kind of a little off anyway, just because of what's gone down here the last 24 hours. So I'll leave it up to you guys to figure this one out. Let me know what you come up with. There's enough names and titles, businesses, the whole 9 yards in there to come up with whether or not that's real shit or not, right? And if it is, maybe we'll get that pilot on here to have a conversation with me or one of the people involved. Obviously, if this all got out word for word conversations from the frickin' helicopter, it's time to start talking. Unless it's made up. I don't know. Haven't a clue. Wait to think. Do I got time for one more in here before I gotta go and hang out with Sarah and maybe take her out somewhere, get some fresh air. What do we got here? I'll read this one. Fresh out of the pan, another one. Titled Stories from caps lock, ECETI, and possibly much more. Hi, Steve. I've been watching your channel for a long time. I appreciate you and what you do. The people who share their stories are helping us to understand not only the Sabe, but the multi-dimensional world we experience with our limited 5 senses. Some people have the great gift of clairsentient, feeling emotion from spirit, clairaudio, hearing spirit, and clairvoyance, seeing spirit. In the past, people with these gifts were often labeled witches and were put to death. I have the first two, but I didn't always have these amazing and wonderful gifts. Oh, something's in my eye. Damn it. Sorry. It all started when I started researching the ECETI Ranch. That stands for Enlightened Contact Extraterrestrial Intelligence. That's the title of a ranch? Let me read that in one word then again. Enlightened Contact Extraterrestrial Intelligence Ranch. Steve, when I first started watching your channel, you used to refer to the Sabe as those damn things. I noticed you don't anymore. Also, back then you said that you are not interested in any ET stories. You said, I'm just not into it. Could this be because the only stories you've heard were about the negative ones, the Greys and the reptilians? If you are interested, I would like to share my extremely positive experience with a feline being named Bookit. That's capital B A dash capital G E E T. The story is not as much about her, but more about all the knowledge and spiritual experiences I've had in the past 10 years since she came to me and opened my third eye, which gave me these gifts. It'll be a bunch of short stories if you're interested. Now, here are the secondhand stories I heard at the ranch. The first story comes from James. It's either Gilliland or Gilliland, the owner of the said ranch. He said he was hiking on a mountain trail and saw a female Sabe sitting on a log. He could tell she was very distraught. She was crying. James has all the, quote, gifts. He could feel her feelings. Somehow he knew she had just lost a child. When she noticed him, she sent him a message through feelings. Please go away, I need to be alone. So he turned around and walked away, telepathically sending his condolences. A few minutes later, a basketball-sized orb came out of the forest, hovering right in front of him. It was her, and she thanked him for understanding. These thoughts were in the form of feelings, not words. The second story comes from a radio talk show host I met at the ranch. He said he was having his morning coffee at the ranch when what he described as juvenile Sabe came running out of the forest, stopped for about 2 seconds right in front of him, looked at him and ran away. Well, these are the stories to the best of my recollection. Let me know if you want to hear my story about Bookit, my fifth dimensional feline friend from Serios. Serios. Thanks again for all you do. Sincerely, Frank Wolf. Wow, that's a handful, Frank. Especially to come up on a one of these hairy human-like beings sitting on a log and then reacts to you like a typical distraught human female saying, just leave me alone, I'm sitting here and upset. Whereas typically, from patterns shared by the tens of thousands of people here, you see one of these people and they see you with a look of shock on their face no matter what's going on, and they are gone. Whew. Right? I don't know, it wasn't there. But you want to fire away this experience of, what do you call it, a feline? A feline? It's all new here, man. Send away. Send it over. And that ranch, have we heard of that ranch before? Is that another name for what they were referring to as a Skinwalker Ranch, I wonder? I don't know. I mean, I have heard of the Skinwalker Ranch, and then I saw another couple who apparently did some investigating out there, and they were doing a podcast, and the one guy said Skinwalker Ranch, and she said, we don't refer to it as that. And she called it something else. Whatever, Karen. Settle down, Karen. Not your typical day here today, is it? We don't have any patterns. We don't have our typical patterns flaring up, I don't think. Well, we'll see what comes, right? See what comes. Everybody gets heard. Take from what you will or leave it. But don't blow a gasket and get angry, all right? So there's something that comes up and you think it's horseshit. All right, you think it's horseshit. Shit comes up here all the time. Not all the time, but stuff has come on here And I think it's horse shit. But do I vent and state that on here? Nope. Like, whatever. Take from where you will or leave it. I don't know. I wasn't there. Doesn't affect me either way. Really. Doesn't, it doesn't. I'm babbling. Strange Thing in the Sky is the title of this next email to all of you through me. Hello, Steve. Been watching your videos for 3 years or so. You may use my name. I am 79 and retired, so I don't care what people think. All right, what's your name? Joseph M. Butler, MSCRC, retired. I do not have a Sasquatch story, but what I do have is something that's strange to me. I live in southwest Missouri, USA, very near to Kansas and Oklahoma. Then you've probably been to that store where they were selling, quote, Canadian nightcrawler worms in the store when I was there and made a video on our way to Lacine, Kansas. One afternoon while driving back home, I looked at the sky and saw what I thought was the moon. But then it dawned on me that the moon was much larger and it was also in the sky. This was a small white orb or something. I don't really know what to call it. I took a picture of it with my iPhone 14 Pro. I zoomed in on the object as much as I could, and the second picture that I have attached is the zoomed in photo. I do not know what this is unless it is just pixelated. I know it's not your usual fare, but I thought perhaps a viewer might know. Gaia.com has an interesting article on the 47th parallel and a lot of strange activity across the USA and other countries on it. The article is dated February 25th, 2025. I live within a mile of the Joplin. It's either Joplin or Hoplin. Or Tri-State Spook Light on this parallel that has been observed since 1836. I've seen it several times. Many UFO sightings and occurrences, such as the Roswell UFO crash, happened along this parallel also. Wow. I'm a Vietnam-era USAF veteran. I taught classes on the hazards of high-altitude flight and ejection seat usage, having spent many hours at high altitude as high as 43,000 feet without cabin pressurization in training students. I went to college on the GI Bill and obtained a master's degree in rehabilitation counseling. I worked about 40 years in rehab counseling, disability determination, social work, and I retired as a probation and parole officer from the state of Missouri. I include that so you won't think I'm a total kook. Okay, you're just a half a kook then. Just kidding. Though I suppose I could just simply be an educated kook. Let me read that smoothly. Though I suppose I could just simply be an educated kook. Though I've never seen a Sasquatch, I don't want to. I love watching the truth that comes out in your program and the respectful way you deal with those who email you. I also really enjoy it when you take us along in your trips out to the real world and appreciate the beauty you show on here. You are highly respected by a lot of people around the globe. Thank you very much for reading this. If you happen to, if not, that's okay too. I understand. Joseph M. Butler, MC/CRC, retired. Joplin, Missouri, USA. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much for those kind words. I really, really appreciate that and appreciate the time you just spent to reach out to all the people here through me. And here's one of the photos. This one's kind of... Actually, it looks better right here than it did in my hand. There's one of them. All right, see that? Then... Oops, hold on a minute. Wow. Now there's where it becomes something else. Look at that. Now that's interesting. Right? That is interesting. Who's seen something like that? I think probably a lot of you. But it's funny though when you see the what's called an orb. I've noticed as a pattern, you see the geometrical or the staticky interior of the light, of the ball light itself. Do you know what I mean? It's not just a ball of light like you see on a lot of trail cameras when a moth goes by, or when there's a spider caught in front of the lens out of focus on a webbing and it comes across as an orb. A lot of insects being recorded at nighttime with light reflecting off of them looking like an orb. But then you get that ball of light with that geometrical patterns, static something going on within the whole thing. Then it's kind of like, whoa. It almost looks like the human egg under a microscope in a way, sort of, sometimes. You know what I mean? Very interesting. And no, I don't think you're a kook. Although, if we were friends, I'd probably call you a kook all the time. But anyway, there you go, you guys. That reminds me, too, I had a message sent to me. I think it was on Instagram, which is like when I find a message on Instagram or anywhere else, it's almost like a lottery ticket because I rarely look, because it's backed up with thousands of message requests. Other message columns are called priority. Other ones are, I don't understand it. Obviously, I'm not the social media czar. I don't understand it. But somebody did forward me a video and I looked at it, and it was from Brazil, I think, or Colombia. Colombia. And it's this frickin' static ball of light with similar interior to that. Probably looks to be about that big. Moving along broad daylight above the ground in the forest. And all of a sudden it goes over the ground and makes, I think it was making a noise too. And then it went over the ground and then boom, disappears into the ground. And somebody caught that on video and shared with me. And I'm going to have to go back in there and find it and try to figure out, how I can pull it off of there. Let me have a look and see if I can find it right now, and I'll hold my phone up for a starters, all right? Hold on. Found it. Let's see if I can do it on here. Hold on a minute. Shit. Hope this works. What the hell's up with that? What's that? Oops. Better reply to this guy who sent it. Huh. Crazy. What's that called? Hold on. Pause that. This is called, caught on camera, the Brazilian boitata. Boitata. B-O-I-T-A-T-A in action. Ever heard of the legendary boitada in Brazilian folklore? It's known as a fiery guardian of the forests. Mysterious, glowing, and protective. Check out this incredible footage we received showing a ball of fire drifting through a Brazilian forest at night. There's no timestamp, no exact date, just a glimpse of this mythical phenomenon that locals have whispered about for generations. Huh. There you go, you guys. Anybody seen that, know about it? Throw down in the comment section below. Let us know. That looks crazy, but if you looked at it, I mean, it's a little bit clearer with me holding on to the phone, but that almost looks like it's got that same funky interior as some of the ball of light that the gentleman just emailed us, or other orbs of light that people have sent in and recorded in the past. Interesting. What would you do if that thing was ripping down the trail coming after your ass or following you or paralleling you? Or imagine sitting there on your stand deer hunting, all of a sudden that thing stops, rises up to eye level and beelines it straight to you and just hovers in front of your face. What would you do with that, right? It'd be a little unnerving. Anyway, on with the day. I'm going to go see if I can't think of something to do with Sarah. Get her out of the house and off that couch. She's been shedding a bunch of tears this morning. I guess understandably. But anyway. I appreciate all of you big time, especially those who sent out the well wishes and prayers yesterday for Sarah. Absolutely appreciate that so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the kind words from everyone that emailed in. And if you've got something you want to share with all the people, something you've seen, some knowledge you have that's important, and don't be scared to share it, all right? Don't be scared of human beings especially. Don't be scared of nothing, all right? Don't be scared of anybody, what they say, what they think. Don't worry about it. Don't be scared of anything, all right? Share my story at howtohunt.com, okay? I should be back tomorrow. I'm going to start planning. I got the itch. I think I'm going to have to go over to one of my mainland hunting spots, which usually starts percolating pretty good right about now, and see if I can't go get an arrow in a big, mature coastal mountain black-tailed deer here in the next few days. I think I might go take one more stab at it. After Sarah's doing a little better, and I'll be back tomorrow. Later.